What is up, Dashers? We have another exciting game for all of you today. It's the weekend. It's Dashers weekend. It's Dashers weekend every weekend, is what I like to think. Else I just get bored of the day. And it is the APAC Cup Season 4. My name is Genocide, and commentating with me today is Beulah. Beulah, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Geno? How are you today?
Yeah, had a pretty early morning game myself, and I must say, jumping out of bed in the cold, your fingers feel rigid, and now you're going up against some pretty top-end players. Yeah, let's just say I got mauled to pieces, and I didn't care. I was just like, just kill me. I don't care. Just I'm too cold.
Yeah, I jumped on a little bit earlier, and I did notice quite a few of the players in pubs warming up as well, so they're probably just trying to get the fingers limber.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's pretty cold for a few people here in Australia, snowing in some states, and some of that cold weather moving across. But anyway, we're not a weather channel. Let's jump straight into it. We have TBT versus KAOS. KAOS being the current champions of Season 1 of the APAC Cup. And they're trying to defend their title. And from the looks of it, the rest of the teams are all gunning for that title. There doesn't seem to be any weak players at this point.
No, I think you're right. The level of skill, everybody seemed to have leveled up quite a lot in the last couple of months. I think just that experience of match play in the first season has really helped with everyone's skill levels, and of course it's very, very different if you've ever played in public lobbies than playing in a team as well, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that later. But just that match play of the first season has really upped everyone's skill levels for sure.
Yep. So we have on TBT side Rembrandt, Justin, Vageldude, Marisol, Person, and Albilbo. Out of that team of there, Rembrandt, Marisol, Person, and Albilbo are very skilled players, all to be feared. Justin and Vageldude, the two new players that have joined in this season.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about KAOS side?
Yeah, so I mean, you've got Axion and Crash Zone, who are the sisters. They're experienced in league play, North America league play. Also, Firehorse was playing last season as well. Yep. So those three players alone have got a lot of experience in terms of the match play and that sort of league competition. And then you've got people like Jedi as well, who are newer players, but they've actually come from other games. So other VR games, and we find that actually translates across really easily as well. So if you played Rec Room, you played a number of other VR games before competitively, then you know the step across from those games to Hyperdash really does translate as well, and he's really one to watch out for today. In terms of the sort of strategy that KAOS will use, typically you'll find that and even with TBT, the experienced players will tend to go ahead and push further and be more aggressive in their play, and then the newer players, you'll probably find them to sort of play in a more supportive role. So I think today you'll probably expect Person, Bilbo, and Rembrandt on TBT. They'll probably be the more aggressive players, and then Axion, Crash Zone, and possibly Jedi will probably be the three to watch on KAOS as well, just through their experience, but also just that aggressive play that they actually do in pubs as well.
Yeah, and there's one player via Firehorse who stands out above a couple of these players in terms of a certain type of gameplay. Firehorse seems to be the majority of a support type game player. Very rarely will he push up to the front and try and do disruption. He'll sort of hang back behind the cart, behind the button, and just provide that support to his team. And I think a lot of people underestimate the potency of a role like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think Bilbo in the previous games that we've played against TBT, and of course I'm on trouble, the previous games, Person and Bilbo are probably the two, especially on Waterway, that will help secure their base and sort of push when required. And of course, you'll find Firehorse sniping as well on Waterway. Yeah. I expect him to pick up heavy weapons and explosives in both of those maps, actually.
Yeah, I bring it up because what I don't see is a lot of people diversifying their gameplay sort of roles. That everyone wants to be the person that's pushing and disrupting. And a lot of the times you just need that bit of diversity, like who's going to be standing back and providing the support, who's going to be walking next to the cart and being the second to the cart, not, standing on the cart and being the suicide mission. So yeah, it's quite nice to see diversity and roles evolving in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I can just talk a bit about Trouble and the sort of way that we play it, the less experienced players, they tend to play where they're comfortable, because when you're actually starting out in the game and obviously when you're starting to play competition, what you find is you'll perform better in the role that you're most comfortable with. So that's why I'm thinking that the more experienced players, they'll typically be more aggressive. And then you'll see those less experienced players just play where they're comfortable, play in that sort of niche. And that's probably what we'll see from this first game today.
Let's jump in and have a look at what's going on. I think everyone's still doing their strategy talk.
Yes. So I believe the first map is going to be Stadium. And in terms of Stadium, it's typically used as the tiebreaker in North America League. Here in the Cup, we've obviously gone through and we've mixed up all the different maps. We just wanted to get a sort of total gameplay experience. I think that's really beneficial for the newer players as well, because talking strategy on each one of those maps is something that probably isn't talked about as often if you do play in the North America League. Some of those maps are removed. I think so. It's a really good experience for everyone just to learn about gameplay and sort of work as a team on that strategy as well. But in terms of the Stadium, in terms of this map here, you can obviously see that there is one single button. Okay? We're talking about the button here. Everything revolves around that button. And of course, as Ram and Universal talked about in the game this week as well, you really need to stay close to that button at all times. What you find is if players are on the outskirts of that button, they're highly susceptible to attack. Quite often in the strategies that we use and other players use, you do identify those players on the fringe, because typically those players on the fringe are those that use machine SMGs, or they use other weapons at distance. So I think that's one thing to watch out for, especially in this map, that you need to stay close to the button, but you also need to watch the outskirts of that map, the rails, but also those spots around health and around dash as well, is where some of the experienced players can pick you up easily. Yeah.
So it is a relatively small map, but you'll find that you run out of dash pretty quickly. And there's a dash on each player's side over here. And a lot of the times that's in quite high demand, being 5 people all gunning for the one dash, and such a quick turnaround time in your deaths and respawns on this map. That dash is pretty much always empty.
Yeah, I think unlike other maps, I think the first 1 or 2 minutes is highly crucial in terms of gameplay, in terms of trying to get that first button and setting yourself up as well. I think in our team, we make sure that we don't just all go for that singular dash pickup. We don't all travel in the same direction. We traverse across different parts of the map. I think that's really important to remember as a team as well, is that once you start repeating those patterns, you're in a situation where the opposition will pick up on that and they'll take advantage. It's also a really unique strategy as well. Another one is to sort of move around and to try and steal the opposition's dash. That is something that can be effective, although I have seen it, and we have sort of seen it backfire as well in the past, is that traversing across and not actually focusing on the button is something that's high risk, but also can be high reward as well.
Well, thank you for that breakdown. I don't want to steal too much of Trouble's strategies, whilst you're going to be giving away quite a bit.
I don't know. I believe it's common knowledge. You only have a certain amount of paths you can get to a button, and of course, only having 2 dash pickups on that map is really important to note as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got the guys fooling around. How Bilbo trying to jump on top. I'm assuming that teams are just about ready to get started. What I should probably do is put the drone in a position to indicate that we are ready. We got everybody waving at the camera.
I think this one here, prediction, I can see my prediction is TBT and not by too much of a margin. I think the benefit of having Crash and Axion together will help KAOS a lot.
Yeah.
But I think my prediction today will probably go to TBT by a small margin. So how about yourself, Jenno?
I think TBT's probably got this one as well. I mean, they've got High Bobo, Person, and Damage. Those are all very, very strong players. Okay, we are getting going. We'll follow who's that? Crash first. We'll have our drone over the button.
You can see there that Crash has come out. Hasn't necessarily gone straight towards the dash. I think some of their strategy here would probably be, like I mentioned, to take different routes.
Yep.
Okay, so you've got Person just sticking closely around the control point as well, and you can see that they've created a
sort of like a bubble barrier. Yeah.
Yep.
Axion diving in. Yeah, sometimes those dashes where you know you're going to die, but it's just about getting that button. That's sometimes that extra second or 2 seconds that you need, and those add up over time. You know, you do second or 2 second 20 times, you've got 20 seconds there, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Explosive Poet sort of going off and ignoring that button. It would have been beneficial there, I think, just to grab that button instead of sort of moving towards the opposition.
Yeah, just sort of hang around.
That's
and
one of those.
Down.
That's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those things you sort of learn over time in team play. With more experience.
Habobo's stealing the dash from the enemy over there. You can see it purposely set up that trap. Very sneaky bugger.
Got a couple around the button. The button's pushed, and then you'll see them all move quickly away from that button. You've got Justin covering the dash side there. Yeah, so it's 52 to 42, so there isn't too much in it at this point in time. See again that the TBT sort of had that wall set up. Okay, we've sort of mentioned at the start as well. You've got those players that sort of sit back at the rear of the map and sort of take and chip away at the enemy's sort of health in that respect too. You can see now that the TBT's moved up in a closer sort of position as well. So they're just keeping their distance, but they're not necessarily moving too far away from the button.
Damage seems to be doing pretty well. Oh.
Okay, so we're coming up on
almost 100 seconds. So it's 300 seconds in total that each team needs to capture. Firehorse coming in for his support role in the back. That dash just wasn't working for him. I find that's happening a lot more these days. It's just you've got the dash perfectly positioned and it just doesn't want to trigger. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, and it's that whole point, I guess, around staying one dash away from the button.
Yeah.
You know, just that fraction of a second, you're pretty much taken out in an instant. You can see here now that that KAOS is starting to sort of pull that ring in.
Yeah.
We've got those 3 or 4 players just sort of waiting at each of those different access points or entry points. You can also see TBT sort of trying a couple of alternative
changing it up a little bit.
Approaches. Yeah, that's right. And I think KAOS is starting to pull that back in a little bit. Oh, nice one there from Jedi. You can pull up the top dashes for a moment. You know, we'll just take a quick look at that. Okay, so Rembrandt person look like they're the standout at the moment. And then the rest of blue, so the rest of chaos, they're all fairly even as well.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. That's something that we do need to be mindful of as well. You know, are they playing well as a team? You can sort of see from those scores that if everyone's taking an equal amount of kills, there's probably a lot of teamwork going on there. It's just that Rembrandt and person are the two there that are sort of standing out. 167 to 119. So that lead, even from the start, is still there. They've creeped it out a little bit, but it looks like that the person and Rembrandt are the two that are sort of causing that chaos. They're sort of disrupting a lot of that, that team
nice
play.
defense by Firehorse. Yeah, I think the shotgun is underestimated quite a lot in this game. Just sort of aim it at the button, open fire. Even if you're not getting a kill, you're doing significant damage to whoever's around you.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes it's not necessarily about getting the outright kill, you know, sitting at a distance, chipping away at that health. It all adds up over time too. Especially when you're in a position where you're down, you know, you're staying close to that button, but also having those players that are on the way into the button, sort of chipping away at that health too, yeah. We see Axion here just dropping in.
Oh.
Got Bilbo stealing that dash, so that's a really interesting strategy as well. They've extended the lead out by around 55, or 50 or so points.
Yep.
So it's looking like KAOS is going to have to do something pretty extreme to get this back at this time of the match. You know, it's really difficult. Everyone's warmed up, but pull that back in is quite a mean feat.
Oh, beautiful work by Axion.
Stucking in, capping the button, staying a dash away, keeping that perimeter. Crash just sort of looking to steal the dash there as well.
She almost had it too. She almost had a dash and a person. There we go, steal the dash.
Yep, straight back into...
She's now on enemy side, doing a bit of disruption. Beautiful work.
Yeah, it can be quite a surprise as well when you're just grinding along that rail and you're not actually aware that it's like now you've got a player in there and
she's doing serious damage right here.
Yeah, that fraction of a second delay in comms, you know, due to the Oculus issue. I think that you know, you can take out a couple of kills within 2 seconds here. As well.
Damage you in the back, just make. No, he's actually disrupting as well. Gets taken out by Firehorse in the end. It seems that everyone's doing a bit of disruption. We're 250 seconds. TBT is up in lead.
Yeah, I think they've pulled that back really close now, and
yeah.
I think that the idea of sort of getting in there and playing that disruptor sort of lead, it's starting to pull that lead back in. So, right.
And that lead's been taken away. That catch-up game that they had of theirs has been taken away from them now.
Yeah, that's right. You can see them, both teams, sort of adjusting their strategy as they go along. Oh, beautiful, Rembrandt. You can see these strategies sort of being adjusted mid-play as well. They sort of started out with more of a traditional sort of approach, I guess you could say. And now we've got quite a few players that are moving between different spawn points. We've got people stealing dashes. So,
that's what you want to see from red team at this time. It's 10 seconds left, and it's pretty much as soon as that blue button gets pushed, the red's changed again.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a TBT win here, not by too much. We definitely have
You almost
a
can't
TBT
afford
win.
for them just to even have a second.
And person holds the button for the win.
Yep. Very cool. All right. So High Bilbo coming out at the end of that match's top dasher with 8,572. And then on KAOS side, Crash sitting with 7,110. And that was a pretty good game. That was a damn good game.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the mid-match scores there as well, they were quite uneven, but you've got Person, Damage and Justin sort of stepping up towards the last part of that match
Yep.
as well. I think that's really what gave them the win, whether it was nerves or whether it was just getting comfortable in that match. But I think those extra kills by the third, fourth, and fifth sort of picked it up. Sure.
Yeah, that's right. And then, mid-game, the KAOS side, they were fairly even, but towards the end, Axion and Crash sort of pushed ahead of what was going on. So we do have a replacement. We've got Bot Graham currently stepping in for whoever's going to be changing on KAOS side.
Yep, I think from that loss, I'd expect we'd probably see Universal jumping in here for Waterway.
I
I
don't
think
think
Universal's...
Universal's around today.
Ah, right, okay. We who else do we have on that roster?
What's the next map, do you know?
I believe it's Waterway. Now,
Waterway.
yeah. I only said Universal because I think Universal is one of the best Waterway players on his team as well. So it'll be really interesting with this next map. Yep, we've got Pixelwitch stepping in there.
Cool. Well, do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown, stealing some of your trouble strats and what you guys typically do here on Waterway?
Oh, I think Waterway is one of those maps where you can approach in a whole bunch of different ways. I don't believe that there's a single strategy that works. I think the only real approach you need to have is just aggression. You need to be really aggressive on this map, probably more so than others. But also at the same time, you need to make sure that only the players that are being assertive and being aggressive are only pushing at the right times. So, it's really, really difficult to get all three buttons at the same time with your players spread across the map. And as a team, you really need to work hard on exactly where you need to be set up. And what I mean by that is you've got a whole bunch of different areas you can sort of set up your players to push, but typically you wouldn't have a whole team moving forward through the map. So you've got to be really strategic about how you do it. I think Rem and Universal put it really well in the last match by saying that point B and the middle of the map is probably the most crucial. And once you've actually controlled that part of the map, that is where you can start sending your players up, setting them up, pushing them into the enemy base. A number of different ways. There's also ways for players to move through the map without being seen, depending on which levels you're also playing on as well. For example, the map or the button at B, which is in the center of the map, that only has 2 levels and a rail. But in the enemy bases and in your own base, you've actually got multiple levels. And that's really difficult at times just to view and to spot some of those enemies coming in. So a lot of communication and a lot of strategy is required on this map. And I'd say it's probably the fastest map in Hyperdash as well, which is the reason why I love it so much. It's a real adrenaline rush when you get those countdowns.
Yeah. You'll find that players like Firehorse will be perched up somewhere along these sniper areas, and that's pretty much his role. It would be to continuously suppress the enemy from a distance, and he's very good at that.
Yes, you'll typically see Firehorse possibly with a shotgun, but definitely with a sniper, being in that sniper position. Also on TBT, I expect Bilbo probably to take on the shock pistols. Expect Bilbo to sort of sit around the enemy base and then obviously push to B, based on where the rest of your team is, and using those comms to sort of secure B. So you've got 2 separate players, and those 2 players have a really pivotal role in securing their own base when needed. Sure.
Well, it is also one of my favorite maps. What I particularly find quite exciting is when you have a battle between the rails. So you'll often see some of the skilled players that are very good at dashing. They almost like dash from one rail to the other, and sometimes they'll even dash back, and you'll get this sort of ballet of dashing and killing taking place over the water, and it's always fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I guess when you play the more experienced players, you'll probably find that rails are more of a liability than they are necessarily an advantage.
Yeah.
With players like Firehorse that can snipe you on the rails, don't really want to stay on those rails for too long. And some of those experienced players do dash onto different rails at different times, not only to secure the base, but also just to avoid that sniper fire and that opposition fire from the opposite base. So
that's right.
Yeah, rails are really tricky to get used to when you're a beginner. But of course, as you upskill and level up, then you'll find that they're a real adrenaline rush to play on for sure.
I think a lot of newer players don't appreciate that. Is that if you're jumping onto this rail over here, you've got a sniper perched up over here. He'll see you, she'll see you. They'll immediately aim towards you. If you do a 1-2 quick dash across that, you could dash that distance faster than what the sniper can rotate. He's rotate and aim his position. So you'd be able to enter into their base a lot quicker before that sniper can take you out. Granted, if you've got to this point and you haven't died, you probably don't have any dashes. So your first objective would be, if I can steal their dash, steal it. Or try and take somebody out to gain a dash to allow you to have a little bit of movement in the enemy base. Because the last thing you want to do is you're in the enemy base and you've got no stamina. You're just sitting there smiling at them going, how about a cup of tea?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a player on, I believe it's TBT, but Atreyu sort of summed it up perfectly by saying each dash pickup respawns after 10 seconds. So if you can find routes that are exactly 10 seconds in length, you can start to steal the enemy's dash, you can start to move around that map, and you're really just moving around using those dash pickups. So something that's always stuck with me is that you think about hyperdash in terms of 10-second cooldowns, and you can really, really quickly move across the map, and he's probably one of the fastest movers across Waterway for sure.
Yeah, and we're getting into it. Cool.
1, go.
Right, so as mentioned, really aggressive, pushing first towards B, so taking that lead there.
Blue takes B.
It'd be really interesting to see some of these. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see some of these players and how they use the bottom rail. I've noticed on some of the games also that I've played in and watching the games, the bottom rail isn't necessarily utilized as much. Quite a lot of the fire in these matches is sort of taken on B itself at the button. But some of those really experienced players, know when to utilize the bottom rail. They know when to move across the map, being not really being seen by those players at B. So it's one of those really underutilized sort of techniques, I guess, or routes.
Yeah, I've tried to make a point of actually trying to build strategies and gameplays just on that bottom rail. For that whole reason, is it's such an underutilized resource. So while I can take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's right. And here you can see Bilbo with the shock pistols, sort of moving up to B. You can see there that the KAOS has captured those 2 buttons, so they're starting to be more aggressive. They're starting to move through that map. We've got Firehorse at the bottom, sort of covering that bottom rail area there with snipers. It's a great way to hide from the enemy.
Hmm. You've got Axion just grabbing that counter just in time.
You see that now KAOS has got 2 buttons. Probably going to see them be a little more aggressive here.
Beautiful work by Jedi there. Getting a triple kill.
And another.
And a button.
Yeah, so a lot of the action here is just happening on B.
Red takes B.
Nice shot by Damage You. Picking up Firehorse.
Blue takes B. Red takes B.
So far, game's fairly even.
B. Red takes B.
We've got a couple
Blue takes
coming into
B.
KAOS' base there. The Firehorse with the
Red
we
team
did have Firehorse with the shotgun and
The shotgun
sniper pistol.
sniper pistol, yeah.
Red takes B.
Hubbleberg grabbing his shocks.
Red team scores 3.
Alright, we've got a countdown here.
Countered.
Oh,
Close.
Red team score countered. Red team scores
Another
3.
countdown.
2 countered.
Oh,
that was a pretty good counter. That was just in time.
perfect. I think everyone's blood would be pumping by now with that.
Yeah.
Blue takes B.
Right.
Red
So
takes
yeah, I
red
think
team.
it's fairly even at this point in time. I can't really see anyone having a distinct advantage.
No, let's have a look.
Red takes
So
B.
Bilbo's up there with 11.
Blue takes
You've got
B.
Person as well coming in there at 4th place, but still on
Red
12
takes
kills.
B.
And we've got Jedi, just absolute standout at the moment on 21. So
Yeah.
yeah, Jedi's I think Jedi's sort of taking that really aggressive approach and he's running with it, which is great to see.
Red takes B. Blue takes
Oh.
B.
You're in a bit of a sticky situation if you find yourself in bottom rail in that tunnel, because you don't have anywhere to dash other than forward or backward.
Blue takes B.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
right. It's pretty much just a shootout when you're at that
Yeah.
point.
And hope for the best.
Blue takes B.
Obviously, the player that's in their base is able to strafe and move around a little more, so you're kind of a sitting duck. You can get those charge shots off.
Red takes B.
Nice defense from Firehorse. And that sniper
Oh.
pistol's moving around really smoothly on the map. You can see there that
Yeah.
Blue takes B.
really got that really smooth aim. Obviously, holding it with the other hand as well as an advantage.
Red takes B.
Checking corners as he comes around.
Takes B.
Nice shot from Crash.
Red takes B. Blue takes B.
Alright, so it looks like B's
Red
got the
takes
2 buttons.
B.
We've got Axion just sort of sitting there and just
Red team
trying to secure
Oh,
B.
we've got it.
countered. Red team
That was a very good counter.
Oh,
Because we had Crash and Axion and Firehorse down at that time of that counter, and that,
takes B.
Jedi didn't push that
Fantastic.
button, that would have been it.
nice shot from Damage You there.
Oh, double kill.
Red takes C. Red
Finding some
countered.
time here.
Triple kill.
Red team scores 3. Counter. Red team counter.
So we've got 2 in the base here.
Countered.
Oh,
Blue takes C.
Alright, so they're looking for B. You'll probably see Firehorse pushing up to B here.
yeah, it looks like they're being a little... Firehorse is pushing the aggression now.
Takes B.
His team's starting to get impatient. We need to get this points on the board.
Red takes C.
Great shot from Crash there.
Red team scores
A really fantastic game.
2-1.
That's it. Red team got the first
Wow.
one, and Crash was sitting there without any dashing. There we go. Sorry for you, Crash. Yeah, so we got
Alright,
Habilbo at
so-
the top in terms of points over there. It's between
Yeah, so I think
Habilbo
it's-
and Person.
Yeah, I think Habilbo's sort of typically been pushing to that B location, picks up the heavy weapons and sort of trying to secure B a lot. So I think those button presses are really they're giving him those points at the moment.
Red takes B. Red team.
Oh,
scores
jeez.
Oh, we've got another countdown here.
2 counter.
There's KAOS.
Oh.
Team scores 3, 2, 1.
That's it. Wow,
Wins
that
That's fantastic.
that
That
defense from my Bilbo, that was so awesome. Just having that double kill and the shots right there at the bottom. That was very cool.
Red
Right,
takes
so-
B.
Yeah, we've got a couple of lead players here from TBT, and it looks like that strategy of sort of getting in and securing B with a couple of players is working out really well for them.
Yep.
Blue takes B. Red takes B. Blue takes B.
A shot there from Axion. Ken's also really well known for her aim. She's got really fantastic aim.
Yeah, between her and Marisol. I'm quite surprised they didn't put Marisol on this map because, yeah, she's got ridiculously good aim.
Countered. Blue
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
B.
You know, if you hear from some of the players that have been playing the
Scores 3,
alpha prior to.
Oh,
Killers to
this
the
is
League,
another
you
one.
know. Oh,
It was a team wipe
Oh.
with the exception of Firehorse. Beautiful. Looking at the scores over there, Habilbo, top dasher, 6,432 points, and Jedi with 7,295 points.
that time to the first point was quite long there, but I think TBT just wrapped that up really quickly, and obviously the approach they were using worked really well there and followed it up
Yeah,
to extra really quick time.
that was great. I think that's it. I think TBT's won, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So winner on
Wow.
control point, winner on waterway.
Well, that was a fairly quick one. This is
Yeah,
so. I did a cast on the previous match. It was also very very quick. You can definitely see who's going to be the challenging group coming up. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I think I've got my early prediction on who might be winning this one.
yeah, we've got quite a lot of tough teams this season. And with a lot of new players coming in and mixing up the teams, it's quite unpredictable. Quite
yeah,
unpredictable to sort of to work out who's going to win. And obviously got those base level, veteran league players, but some of the newer players that are coming along, it's fantastic to see that they're stepping up, especially people like Justin.
Yeah.
Only just started this season, but it's already turning out to be a great player.
Well, that was quite a lot of fun. And if you enjoyed watching this and you'd like to be part of the action, consider joining our Discord. The link, as always, is in the description. And we'd like to see you in there. And you can jump in and you can tell Burla that I love the sound of your voice. I want to hear it in my headphones while I'm trying to kill you.
Yeah, well, anytime you need me to scream expletives, just let me know and I'll see you in game.
Thank you. And as always,